Hey everybody, Gustavo Furman here, Into the Flow. Thank you for watching here on YouTube and listening on Spotify. And please subscribe and like. Yes, thank you. My next episode is super fun and exciting. I'm so happy about it because I interview my first guest in my show. Jenny Xenos. Good friend of mine from Australia, a personal coach, a spiritual guide, and so many more things she does. We had a great talk, very inspirational, really educational. So I think it's time for me to not talk so much right now and introduce Jenny Xenos next.
Hi.
Hi, beautiful.
That's me.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm so happy you're here with me
Yeah,
in
me
my
too.
uh
Absolutely.
in my show In the Flow.
In the flow. I love it.
Wow.
I was thinking, ah, what's it going to feel like? It's going to feel like flow and ease and magic and juiciness, right?
All of the above.
Yeah, indeed.
All
It's
of the
great to
above.
see you.
I I'm so happy you're here and I want to introduce you the right way. And so I want to introduce you right now. Jenny Xenos is an alchemist and lover. Beautiful. A powerful divine woman. Yes. A professional coach certified with the International Coaching Federation, teacher, course creator, and author. Wow. That's
Yeah. Well, just some titles to throw around.
This is a great, no, it's a great title, and you forgot to put in there, and I'm gonna put it in there. It's one of my really good friends that I'm really proud to have in my life. So I think that's
Mm,
one of the main ones that means a lot to me. But all those titles are great titles, and they have a lot of meaning behind them and very powerful. So I'm really happy you're in the flow with me here. So this is exciting for me, really exciting. I'm really excited because you are my first guest in my show,
mm,
my first guest in my show.
yeah.
Um, and I feel so proud and to have you because you are, besides being a friend to me, you are actually my teacher too. And I guess all of us are teachers in some way or another for certain people,
Yes.
and they were all students as well.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
you're my teacher, and then I think I'm your teacher when it comes to movement and dance.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
And it
yes,
all
for
kind of
sure.
combines, I think, when we are helping each other and guiding each other to through what we know, our 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 careers, and it kind of combines itself, all intertwines itself at the end. Movement, breathing, learning personal power. What do you think of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it really does. And I think one thing that we both do is that for each other and for everyone that we work with and speak with and interact with is always directing people back into their own personal power. So even though we're both teachers, I think we are both also very honoring of the other person's journey, their physical and their soul journey, and really honoring the one teaching above all else, and that is go back into our own inner resources. You go back into your own inner power. You have the answers, you have your own connection to the flow, to the source energy. And I think that's something that we both do as teachers and practitioners in our work and in our life.
Wow. So yeah, so I think when we're gonna talk about your background soon, but when you're
Mm, that's old news. I'm just kidding.
I love it. I love it. No, but it's interesting. I really, the reason why I'm doing the show many reasons. It's also for self-improvement, myself to talk to people and to learn and to get creative and excited, because I'm a teacher in dance and movement, music, and performing, choreographing things. It's just my thing,
Yeah.
entertainment. It's just I love it, but it's doing this kind of things where I'm actually talking about because I'm so used to moving, and getting in the flow and the present through moving and through creating
Ah,
music and creating like so I'm so
yeah,
present and so alive and so connected to my inner being when I'm doing that. But I think
yeah,
talking to somebody like this, sitting down, I'm sitting down, I'm not moving. I'm still myself, kind of moving here, my shoulders, yeah. But like it's just kind of it's a little more, I feel like more connected now in a more settled, more calm way, I guess I would say. And so to me, having this show and having you here is such it's like a class, for all of us, like a seminar, So that's why I want to know about your background and everything.
yeah,
But
yeah.
um, so I wanted to say is, I might lose my train of thought here because I get so excited. But that's one of my I guess it could be my downfall, but it's not really a downfall. But
No.
tell me what drive you to train and to become a professional coach, you know, and to become a alchemist. What?
Uh, Well, I was actually a professional trainer by profession for many, many, many years ago. And I've had a lot of different I'm always curious and I love to learn. So every time I've chosen a profession, I've gone and got certifications and really just not for the titles, but for the knowledge, love to learn and excel at whatever I choose to do. I have this voracious curiosity about life. And I have since I was a little girl. I read my first book on metaphysics when I was around 13.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but out of all of that, I still remember when I got my adult education certifications, and I was like, I am a trainer, and I felt like a teacher, and I felt like so proud, and done a lot of other things in corporate as well. Had huge successful career for a global tech company, but all of it is a culmination for me. Everything is a culmination of the learning and practicing and observing life and people. And I've always had this passion and desire to how can I be the best Jenny I can be? And that's always kind of run through me. When
Mm.
people sort of used to say, well, where do you want to be in 5 years? Or what are your goals? I want to travel and I want to be the best Jenny I can be.
Oh,
And
wow.
that led to a lot of things. And in terms
Wow.
of coaching, I was actually doing some breath work. And in the breath work, I heard coaching, and there was this huge space in my mind, in my energy, in my life at the time. I'd created a lot of space, and I heard coaching. And then when I started to explore that, I thought, okay, this is like all these synchronicities and everything fell into place. And and then I went and got my certifications and I studied. And to be a coach, you always keep studying professionally, but also people and life, and
Mm,
in touch with all the latest neuroscience and all those kind of things as
mm,
well. So I love to bring in the science and the spirituality and that sweet spot. So
mm.
the science is in neuroscience, but also metaphysics and
Wow.
and spirituality and that sweet spot. So I don't know if I answered or that was a long way or too vague, but
It's all good because
it's all
that's
good.
why I'm saying like I don't prepare these shows and it's so good. It's going so well right now because that brings me to the next question, which is not a question, but it's an observation that everything you said was again in the flow. Everything you said that you how you got into things and you start studying, it was all done in a very easy way. There was never this kind of I gotta become this person. I gotta do this, no matter
mm,
what, I will make it happen. And that's one of the misconceptions that I feel there is out there. And a lot of people that are doing motivational speaking, or they're like, they're teaching other people to become professionals or whatever in their field, or become millionaires, and you can make this much money, and then you can become this person, but you gotta work hard,
mm,
don't ever
mm.
give up your dreams. And that puts a lot of pressure, I think, on a lot of people, and like they don't even know sometimes what they want to do. They have an idea. They like you said very interesting. You said that you just were studying something, and then you kind of like, I want to travel and want to become the best Jenny I can be, right? That's like a
Yeah,
big picture right there, and it's really nice. That has no resistance, right? You know,
yeah,
it has no, it has like, it has this excitement. It's an exciting statement, right? I just want to be the
yeah.
best I can be. And people might ask, well, you got to decide what you want to be. Because in life, this is the life of winners, not losers. And you got to decide what you want to be and exactly blah, blah, blah. And you're like, well, I don't know. I just want to travel and be the best I can be. I can totally see you being 13 years old and saying, yeah, I don't know. I
I
just
just
want to be the best.
yeah I want yeah I want to travel and I want to learn how I wanted to learn a lot like how can I be the master of my mind, how can I use or leverage and be in concert with source energy. I didn't always call it source energy, and as we evolve we our language changes as well.
Yes.
As we increase our consciousness, our language does change. But there was always this thread, and I think what you're also speaking to is maybe this and Bashar calls it, like he calls it the formula very well, is to follow your excitement, to follow your passion, to follow, Alan Watts said to follow your bliss, and doors will open where you didn't even think they were going to be there. And I think that that's something that's in flow. That's what that is. That is staying in flow with source energy, with the energy that creates worlds, which is us, which is running through us. And and the results of that are phenomenal.
Yes.
There's so many convergences, right? Are the
Mm.
results of doing and living that way. Don't exclude anything else you may want, the millions of dollars or the little cottage or in the mountains or whatever it is, the relationship. It doesn't exclude anything, it includes it.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, for the listeners and viewers that, you know, I think it's good to explain when we talk about source energy, and I think people relate to source energy maybe as God
Mm.
or higher power,
Yeah. Or
right?
the creator. Yeah.
The creator. So I think we gotta kind of like leave it that way, in a way of everybody can just decide what their source energy is, and also explain people a little bit of how we have this. We also actually are source part of source energy as well, or extension of it. We're not
Yeah.
just we're not just being kind of move around, like little pieces of in a chess
Like
game.
puppets.
We're not
Yeah.
moving around.
Yeah.
Oh, I hope I can make this happen, and please help me. And then I hope, and then it's more like we have this power that we can do ourselves with the energy, source energies, amazing power and our power together as collaboration. That's what I feel like it is, right? What do you
Yes.
think?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. We are. I totally want in line with that we're extensions of source energy, and we're not just little puppets being moved around. We um, we have a lot of power, and we are the power. We are the power of creation. We are creating our reality, and we think that brings me when I was listening to something that really I had a download, and it was so clear not too long ago that everything that's powerful requires a gentle touch,
Mm, that's so
not to
good.
not to try and force anything or to, like squeeze something in or
Mm,
stretch or whatever. Everything that is powerful requires precision. requires a gentle touch,
Mm,
which means we have to be that way with ourselves.
wow. Can you explain that a little more? Like, what does that mean, really? Gentle touch. I mean, I understand it, um, but
Uh,
you can
it-
explain it better.
yeah, there is a softness in power. There's a, or I could also say this, that softness is powerful, that gentle touch. You know, when a
Mm,
dad picks up his newborn child, there's a gentleness. You know, when, the mum, um, oh, there's so many different examples, so many different ways to describe it. But even when you think about when a pilot who is flying an A380, a super powerful plane with 2,000 plus souls on board, the precision that is required.
mm,
He's not beating things around or anything. It's precision. There's a gentleness. There's an accuracy,
mm,
and and there's no sloppiness. And and when it comes to human beings and animals and all sentient beings, there's this love
mm.
that is a part of that gentleness.
Wow.
And I think that the more we understand how powerful we are, the more we require a gentle touch with ourselves. And that's a powerful, gentle touch.
Wow. That's so profound. Like the more, wow, can you say that again? Because that's something I think people need to listen to. Like, and it's so good for me to listen to that too, because we get into this world in this life where, it kind of we're trying to follow a certain path, especially creative people like myself. I'm going to talk about myself because all I know is about me, not anybody else. But like, I'm into this cool path, and then I just get anxious about getting
Mm,
something done, making
mm,
something happen. Why is this not happening? And that's when I'm not loving myself, maybe, right? Not
mm,
much when I'm not being that ease. I don't have that ease like you're talking about, that gentle touch.
mm-hmm,
So how do we do that? How do we get into the gentle touch? Or most of the time, I would say, or all the time would be nice. How,
yeah, with ourselves.
how
Yeah.
do you do that on a constant basis, with consistency, so everything works out in a easy way instead of, you know, struggling to get things
Mm.
done sometimes.
Well, there's lots of ways that I can answer that question, but I'm going to zoom out and answer it in this way. Because you mentioned something about, the forcing and anxiety. And then at those moments, we're denying love for ourselves. And first of all, to answer your question, how we can notice it. The first step is to notice that. And what usually happens when it's turned towards ourselves or something we're producing and creating, or, something that's an extension of ourselves in that way, is we're judging. Whether we're either judging ourselves or judging the situation, which then turns back in, especially if it's our output, our creativity,
Mm,
which turns back into judging ourselves. So I think that first notice when that's happening. And second, the most beautiful antidote that I have encountered, learned, seen in people for judgment is curiosity. Because you can't start pushing against it, right? Like, oh my God, why am I doing this? Or why am I like this? That just creates more resistance. But
mm,
if we can, and this is be gently curious. So in those moments, we can sort of say, oh, look, I'm noticing I'm doing something here that doesn't feel good. However you want to word it, I'll just notice it first and then
mm,
just be gently curious. Isn't that interesting?
mm.
Ah, I wonder what that's about. Ah, I wonder what if I could just open up a little bit more in this moment and let source in a little bit more.
Wow.
And that's it. You don't need to have any answers.
So noticing means more of an observer. Like we are observers. We are kind of sitting back and observing this person, like, Jenny or Gustavo doing something, but we're observing ourselves, right? That's what you mean when you say, is that?
Yeah, That's a great word. That's a really great word. One, I teach coaching skills through Ericsson Coaching International to new leaders, to different therapists, anyone that wants to add coaching skills or become a coach. And one of the things that I teach is coach position, which is a neutral observer position. Now, from a meditation point of view, it is become is you're not your mind, realizing you're not your mind, you're not your thoughts, you're not your body, you're not your emotions. So then what are you? Who are you? This I am observer. So if you can just take and step back and have this neutral, high level observation, it just takes a split second. And that's why that gentle curiosity, you can just go, oh, isn't this interesting? Or what if I just opened up a little bit more?
Wow.
And that opening up, first of all, that gentle curiosity and the what if, play the what if game with your mind, it kind of like lubricates the resistance. You know, when you've got like a squeaky or something is grinding together, and then you put a little bit of oil, and then it just starts to flow.
Yeah.
Just that's what it does. It opens up the mind, and just open. Have this intention. You don't have to do anything. Just have this intention. I just want to open. I'm
Mhm.
open to seeing this differently. I'm
Wow.
willing to see this differently. Sometimes
Mm.
I just even picture, touch my heart, and I open my heart.
Wow. So that's,
And things begin to shift. Sorry, I interrupted you.
no, go
Things
ahead.
begin to shift because then we're allowing more of that flow, more of source energy to flow through us. Infinite intelligence. Like what we, you know what I mean?
I know. It's so, wow, it's so interesting because again, we all come from this society of like working hard, and we tend to judge the situation and the people that, or
Mm,
us ourselves in the situation. Like,
mm,
I'm not free from that because when I created my business, I went through a lot of, dealing with different personalities and different people to get me jobs and get me work, and auditioning or like always proving myself. And that has I was very blessed to become successful in my field. I think my energy helped me a lot to
mm,
because I was really happy and really believed in it,
for
but
sure.
but also had struggles. I always met great people, but I had my own inner struggles too when I was judging the situation like, oh, this person doesn't know what I can do, who I am,
Mm,
as a dancer or an actor or whatever. Like that's judging, I think, oh, I don't know if I want to do this because I'm better than this, I can get paid more, or I'm better than this. Things like that. I remember because the ego, the ego always
yeah,
comes out to play, right?
yeah, yeah.
And the ego is, to me, I've learned that the ego is kind of, it's there, but it's kind of not necessary, I feel that it gets in the way of ease. And like you were talking about right now with what you were saying,
Mm, mm,
and how we're gentle to ourselves and not judging. When you're into the ease, that kind of stuff goes away a little bit. You're an observer, you're like, oh, but when you're not, you just so I think that's so interesting you're saying that. And I went through that in my career where I was judging a lot in situations, because I didn't know who I was, right? But
yeah.
interesting enough, everything worked out for me really well,
Mm,
right? So that's something that for the listeners in, it's kind of cool for them to see, to know that it's possible to create their dreams, to follow their bliss by following the path of ease or path of least resistance, which is the path of like, yeah, things are gonna work out. Or I'm excited. Big, don't you think that we should be excited first about something we're gonna do before we do it?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, well, something you said that was very important. You said that you believe that a lot of your success was due to your energy. And that's how we create. It is from our energy. Everything comes from our energy. So, all these thinking techniques and modalities and mindsets that I teach, and then the somatic work and all these other things that you could be teaching as well, it is all affecting our energy. It's not the technique, it's not the process, right? It's affecting our energy. And the thinking is our beliefs as well. So, sorry, I think I might be going off track here because I want to go back to what you said about how we create. Yes, we do. Our energy is the most important thing because everything is responding to our energy. And so, yes, excitement first. And that's why I think that sometimes excitement is just like, okay, in this moment, I have five things to do. What actually interests me the most? That's when you continue to stay in flow. It doesn't have to be bouncing off the wall excitement. It could be, okay, I've got five things to do right now, or I feel like I need to do. One could be go for a walk. The other one might be to send out, a list, a mailing list. One could be to write a post. One could be to sit down and start choreographing a new piece of music or dance, right? Whatever. We all have a full life, right? But the going in the flow is okay. And the ease that you're talking about, I've realized it's not, it doesn't have to be like jumping up and down. Yeah. It could just be what would bring me the most relief right now? What would bring me the most satisfaction right now?
Wow. And sorry to interrupt, but you said relief. That's such a
Yeah.
great word. I think a lot of people think of relief in a different way, but can you explain relief to you? Like, because relief could be, oh, I'm relieved that that car didn't that car didn't hit me. Or
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like, relief is not a word that we use relief in a certain way, but I think you're using it in a very profound way.
okay. So the way that I'm using the word is with this understanding that wherever you, because we're talking about energy and emotions. So wherever I am on an emotional scale, and you could use any scale that you want, but wherever I am, feel, if my next choice, my next thought brings me a little bit of relief, it's actually releasing resistance. And so I'm using the word relief because it's a wonderful feeling that we all know. So, we all have different definitions for excitement, for example, or for love or joy, etc. But relief, everyone seems to be able, especially I've had thousands of conversations with people, different walks of life, different backgrounds, different beliefs. But when you talk about relief, they seem to get it because it releases resistance. And so it opens us up more to
Mm,
the flow of source energy. And I use it as an indicator. So
mm.
wherever you are, it doesn't matter whether you are feeling overwhelmed, right, or anxious. You mentioned that earlier on, or whether you're feeling relaxed and happy. Uh, if you're going, what would bring me the most satisfaction? Great. But if there's too many things happening and you're feeling overwhelmed, what would bring me the most relief is
So
a is an indicator.
wow. So it's an easier kind of way to get into the path of least resistance. So it's an easier way. For example, when people are going through a lot, uh, in a personal way or a business or whatever,
Mm.
that's overwhelming, and it's hard to find the one that's going to give you the most relief, something that is because we're not excited at that moment. It's too much going on. We could be
Yeah.
even just sad, depressed, or down, or whatever you want to call it. And how do you get to from there? You can't get from there to like excitement.
Mm.
It's a big jump, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
gotta go from there to the next step, which is maybe what would be the next step from being like depressed, maybe like we have some hope, right? Then you from there,
Yeah, or maybe actually depressed to get some energy because I've experienced that in my life firsthand. From depressed, it would be just to get some energy moving because depressed is like a flat line,
yeah.
you don't care. But to get some energy moving. So from it could be a bit of a spike of it makes me mad, and then a little bit more and then a little bit more. As Abraham Hicks explains the emotional guidance system super well.
Yeah, Abraham Hicks, our teacher. Yeah.
Mm.
Wow. So that's so interesting. It's so good for people to hear that, for me and everybody to hear this, that you don't have to be super excited about things, but just find the one that gives you the most relief at the moment. It could be like, you know what? Forget all this. I'm gonna go for a walk. Forget this.
Yeah.
Forget this. I'm gonna watch a movie or whatever if it's raining. Or forget,
Yeah.
right? Just to find the most relief and then go back to what you were doing after with maybe more clear ideas or
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that way you break the flat line, right? You break that depression, you break it a little bit.
Yeah, you're breaking the pattern. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
breaking the pattern that you're in. And we put ourselves in these patterns. So when anything that will break the pattern. And I like what you said. And then later on, check in again. Then you can go, okay, so it's the end. You can sort of say, okay, so it's the end of the day and I'm going to bed. What would make me feel really satisfied? Have like have that I've done. So you give it to your past, right? You sort of say, so it's the end of the day and I'm going to bed. What are my two, three things that I can do that would have made me really satisfied? And you get clarity. Again, it's like releasing or opening up, and then you get some clarity. And I think it's very important for us as business people as well. We own our own business. So we want to give our business and our vision some love and attention every day, don't we?
Yeah.
Even if
Because
we're
then,
overwhelmed.
right,
Yeah.
just kind of stays stagnant, just kind of stays there, while I'm moving. I mean, people sometimes they when I tell them certain things that I believe in, some people are very realistic. They tell me, "Oh, I'm a realistic person, I believe in when I see it, I believe it, and you got to do things." And sometimes I say, you know what, just sit back. I like to sit back sometimes and just not do much and just kind of feel the energy, feel the
Mm,
ease about things, feel the excitement, feel the idea, and then you got to take inspire action, right? And
yeah.
so a lot of people when you call it inspire action, they'll be like, "What do you mean inspire action?" Like you just got to take action. You can't just sit back and you know like have a drink and things are gonna happen. I said, no, but so what do you think about that kind of stuff? Because I always have struggle or conversations with even friends that are great, great people, but just did not get that concept of,
I think,
yeah,
oh,
go ahead.
sorry, I didn't.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I think that those people, they're not taking into account energy. They don't yet understand that we are energy, that everything is energy and the vibration, the basis of everything is vibrational. And if they don't understand it, then talking in that way and trying to explain that, if they're ready to hear it, they'll get curious and ask you more questions. Or if they're not, their belief system won't allow them at that time. But I think anytime we're talking about action or anything really, I'm no longer interested in having conversations about checklists. If the conversation does not include energy and vibration, we're still missing the key point,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so a lot of people, there's more and more people that are understanding that. And this isn't anything new either. Some people might
No.
call it new age, but it's actually not. It's it's been all ascended masters were teaching the same thing. Some of them, like Napoleon Hill, was asked to keep that out of his book at the time. But there's right now there is the energy is faster, and more people are waking up. More and more people are beginning to understand it and feel it, and more people are open to that conversation. But
Wow.
if they're not, then they're just missing the basis of everything, which is energy.
Mm. So it's not being lazy then. It's just being, when the people say, "Oh, you're not taking action," you gotta like I remember when I was younger, I used to hear business people saying, "You got to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and then you got to do this next, and then you got to do that." And for me as a boy, I was so creative. I was so about energy, I was so
Mm,
about dancing and creating and creating. Like I would just write my movies and I had my toys and I would play. I had no and with everything that I would make me happy would be something that it would be so easy for me to do
mm,
and I wouldn't have a plan. I never really had a plan. Even with this show, I don't have a plan with. I like you so that's why I love how you started this interview that you started talking about that you just wanted to become the best you can be. That's a plan, but it's not, well, I'm going to get up at 5 a.m. Check. I got up at 5. Now I'm going to have breakfast. Check. 6 o'clock now. Like
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I just kind of finished that. When
No,
I
yeah.
used to hear that, I used to get really stressful. I would get really
Mm,
stressed. Like, oh my God, at
mm,
5 a.m., but I'm tired at 5 a.m. I don't want to get up at 5 a.m. I
yeah.
want to get up at 9, you know what I mean? Like, and I don't want to have like, eggs at certain time. I want to have oatmeal at like a 10, sitting and watching some movie or whatever. Like always been that way where I don't like people telling me and that I have to do a certain things to become a millionaire or become a successful in something. What do you think of that? Is that not a good thing? Good thing? What is that? What do you think?
Well, a couple of things. I think you're always very in tune with the energy, your energy, you're aware of that. I think that we all are when we're born, but then we get programmed, we get conditioned away from that. Um, and what was it? What else did you say?
Well,
Oh, yes, the difference that you're talking about, the difference is being versus doing.
mm,
Being is a state of being. A core value or energy like excitement, like ease, like peace, like love, like passion. These are states of being. And then what's incorporated in that is a sense of self identity, a self concept. When you're aligned with that, the doing is then inspired action because it's coming from that place. So that it's not that you're not doing a lot. Of course, you're doing a lot. And it's not always that you found things that were easy to do. They felt easier for you, even in the learning, right? You've learned a lot. You've learned a lot about dancing and choreography, and you've learned a lot. And when we're learning something new, we always go through this stage of conscious incompetence, where you become aware of what it is, all the things that you don't know yet, but you keep on that path, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to learn this. It doesn't mean that it's always easy, like by other people's standards, right? It takes some heart. It can take effort, let's say effort and focus, which kind of, but there's a diff. I think the difference there is you're always following your passion, you're following your heart, however people want to say it. And so the work that comes out of that, the doing, it feels different.
mm. That
And
is
it and
so profound. That is so awesome. I'm so happy. And when you say things like this, I feel like I want to dance already. Like,
I can see you moving.
because that being, yeah,
Yeah.
being, and then first is being, right? That energy,
Mm.
and then inspire action, like taking steps to do whatever you want to get, not the other way around, where when you don't know your energy, when you don't know who you are, you just are following steps to make things happen.
Prescription. Yeah, you're following other people's prescriptions, your parents or societies or the culture or the community. There's less and less people are doing that, especially the new generations that are coming in. Less and less prescription. No, my way is the best way for me. And there's understanding who me is, and that's always going to continue to expand and evolve. And then
Wow.
playing, testing things out. We do that. I think that's a part of life. It's part of the a beautiful thing about life. And that's something else I've recently uh, focused on and shared a lot with people about action. The energy, source energy, wants us to act. It doesn't
Mm,
want us to sit under a tree and just sit there and wonder and look around. Why are people having and being and doing? Other people are, doing what I want and I can't do it. That's rubbish. It
mm.
wants us to act, but
Wow.
yeah, not necessarily someone else's prescription. If that always worked, there would be one method for success, and everyone would be doing it, and everyone be successful and happy.
Right. Right. Especially nowadays on social media, I see a lot of people doing things unconventional, in a way of
Mm.
different, just all kinds of traveling this, doing blogs, doing this, you know, uh, um, that's like you were saying, is so interesting because sometimes we kind of look, comparing is, I think, a little dangerous for everybody to compare yourself to somebody else, how they did it. And I had an issue with that too when I was younger too, comparing myself to why I'm not that in that TV show. I should be in that TV show. I'm better,
Mm.
or why him, not me? Like things like that. It's just so bad for yourself, I think, for ourselves. What do you think, right?
Yeah.
Comparing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I think when I catch myself comparing, I'm like, oh, okay, that person is doing something or has something that I want, that's important for me, and it again, it's the what we started on earlier on. It's important not to judge ourselves when we do that, because if we judge ourselves, we're denying love for ourselves in that moment.
Right.
Instead of just using our awareness as information.
Mm.
This is what's happening. Oh, this is what I'm doing. This is how I'm feeling. And sometimes I ask myself, I ask my inner being, my higher self, to send love to that person because maybe I was comparing for a little bit too long and didn't catch it. And I'm like, even if I pretend to send love, it'll won't be like, like I would fully be sending my love to them. And so, because at that moment, I'm not loving myself either, right? Because when we're comparing, we're judging, and then we judge ourselves for it. And then we're denying love for ourselves in that moment. And
Hmm.
so, again, to lubricate and give me some ease, I've discovered that if I just say, okay, inner being, higher self, love that person. I want to love that person, and I also want to find out why am I being triggered? Why am I what's important here for me to understand about myself?
Wow. You've said amazing things in this. Wow, it's so good. We have about 4 minutes left already. So we had a great conversation here. And I think the main thing here that we talked about is loving ourselves is one of the thing that comes to my head all the time in this conversation that from that point, loving ourselves. And also
Mhm.
like I've been really looking into reading and listening to his name is Eckhart Tolle. Am I saying
Oh
it
yes,
correct?
yeah. I totally, I know. Yeah.
And this book, The Power of Now, which is
Mm,
amazing. I'm listening right now to it, and it's just being present and just being everything
mm,
happens from the now, not the
yeah.
past, not the future. It's just the now, and loving ourselves combined with being present and just
Mm,
feeling the present without judging ourselves from the past. Or like that's amazing. That's so
yeah,
powerful. What do you think?
it is.
In one
Oh
minute,
yeah.
that so important.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think you've said that, it is powerful, and practicing that presence and that stillness is an access point to even more, allowing ourselves even more source. Yeah.
Wow. So before we go, and again, I want to thank you so much. It's been so awesome. I wish I could dance with you right now, do a little bit of salsa. Pa, pa,
I
para,
know,
pa,
me
pa, para, pa.
too.
Oh, I miss
I'd
you. I miss
love
you. I think I'm
that.
gonna see you in person in Vancouver soon. Yeah.
Yay. And we'll
Um,
go dancing.
yeah. So tell everybody here how can they find you on social media and your website and anything coming up, a seminar, a cool webinar, or something they can take or
Yeah, absolutely. So everyone can get in touch with me and find me any of social medias, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. JennyXenos.com is my website, JennyXenos. And there's three ways that people can work with me, but I'll just share because we know we're mindful of the time. I have the most amazing mentorship, live online mentorship program starting on the 4th of May called Beyond Your Limiting Beliefs. So I'll take everyone, give them personal attention, look at their vibration, help people understand to recognize the limiting beliefs that they have when they come up. What is it really telling them? How to diffuse them and how to create new beliefs that will allow them to be the person they need to be to have and do what they want to do.
wow, that's just like
And
great.
yeah, I'm super excited about it. It's got so many amazing things. Will be meditation and dancing and
Oh wow.
guided visualizations. I'm going to really give people so many tools that they'll walk away so self-empowered that. It's
Wow, that sounds
yeah.
something amazing. I want to take it as well. That's so good. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna write down all this info below and for my on the YouTube video and also on the podcast so people can get
Mm.
a hold of you. And
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh, and it's at, and I just opened for registration yesterday, and is at the most amazing price. It's less than 400 US dollars, which is just phenomenal. But I just opened it. That's why. So, yeah. So
okay,
for your
wow,
viewers, for your listeners, they can get in on an amazing price because it will be limited spots because everyone's going to get personal attention whether they've got limiting beliefs on their relationships or if for their business or whatever it happens to be. Yeah.
wow, that sounds amazing. You know, I could be talking to you for hours. So
I
much
know.
knowledge, so awesome, like, and so much to learn. And but of course, all good things have to end. Not really. All good things keep going and going. All
Yeah,
good.
they're just alchemy. They'll just change form.
That's a saying that I don't like. All good things must end. No, all good things keep
It's
going and going.
and
Sometimes
getting
we
better and better. It's a
getting
lie,
better.
that saying, isn't it? Yeah, it's a
So maybe
lie.
I'll have you back for another time on part two with Jenny Xenos, like to learn about great things and be connected to our source energy.
Mm.
But I,
Gustavo, I love you so much. Thank you for inviting me. I'm honored to be your first guest as well. Mwah. Thank you so much for being
oh,
you.
thank you for that as well. And thank you so much for being you. All right, everybody, thanks so much for being in the flow. Remember, stay in the flow and everything goes just right.
Yeah.
I'll see you later. Thank you.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.